Should be up while I'm adjusting the collar. Hello, everybody. What's going on? What are you up to? My name is Dr. Christopher Salute. I'm your host of the Barbershop. I feel like Cece's down below. She's been just getting her butt kicked, but she's sick. I'm sick. We've just been, it's been a crazy couple of weeks. But I want to make sure that we're all on the same page and we're all here together and hanging out and do our thing. I don't even know when the last time, Cece, when did we hang out with the group last? I don't even remember. It's been such a long time. You know what we're doing. We're just sharing the show on a bunch of different platforms. I'm going to be doing that in a second. Then we're going to be going live on Instagram. Then we're going to be going live on TikTok. So we're going to have a lot of different ways for you to engage. So super excited to chat with everybody tonight. We will, chat a bit about that soon after we kind of post everything. Got my notes. I feel like it's first day of school, Cece. I haven't done this in so long. So let's go on live here. Nice and awkward. And I feel like Cece, I don't know, did the lights change or something while I was, I feel like I'm just doing everything wrong. I don't know. I'm doing everything wrong today. So tonight we're talking about New Year's resolutions, why they don't work. I've got I don't know why, why don't we just do more stuff from the dollar store? You know what I mean? Like, this is a great glass. Like, why don't we just get all of our glasses from the dollar store? And I'm washing one of them, and sure enough, it broke in my hands, broke in my hands. So that's why we don't buy our glasses at the dollar store. I feel like my forehead's super shiny. I'm sorry about that. It's just from the lighting. We'll have to figure out why. Maybe hold on one sec. If I could just adjust this. Hold on. Is that less shiny? Oh, totally tones down the shine. Not really. Not even close. Hold on one sec. Now I'm I want to try this one more time. Let's see. That's way better. The shine is way less. Now we're able to hang out and waving at everybody on social media. Hope you're doing well. I hope you're doing well as well. So tonight we're talking about why resolutions suck. And I'm sorry if you are on Instagram, you're not able to see me. I'm going to be kind of pointed towards the YouTube and Facebook folks. So we're going to talk about why resolutions suck and why they don't work. And before we start, I want to just give a shout out to Bold Magazine, Fatty Plus Magazine, Strutter Magazine, the Going Solo Network. I want to bring Bold Brand Management, That Professor Life Coaching. The show is brought to you by all these sponsors, so thank you so much. If you want to sponsor, hit us up because rates are super cheap. You don't actually understand how super low rates are, so definitely get involved with the show. You can get some great opportunities to chat with our folks. So talk about why resolutions suck. What's going on with me? Well, what's been going on with me lately? Just got out of COVID, so even if I had some resolutions that I think already suck, my resolutions would have started about 20 days late. I'm finally getting over the fatigue. I haven't been contagious in weeks, but it's just bad stuff. What's up with the network? The network's been kind of, I feel like, on hiatus. CC and I are building out some new websites, so we've got some new stuff going on. Super excited to get you all involved with that. We're building out some great new things. Hopefully you'll catch some of the new talent we have on soon. Call back to anybody who has been on the show. I'm going to do a year of reminiscing too. So a couple of folks have reached out and been like, get me back on the show. Message me, get back on the show. Let's do it. You haven't grown. You haven't had great new stuff that you could talk about. Let's get you back on the show for sure. And of course, as we do all things, I'm going to just start with a quick moment of silence. I do take this time to pray. You don't need to pray. I'm a praying man, not a praying mantis, but a praying man. So I'm going to just take a quick moment. If you've got somebody in your life that you want to be, give some good karma to, give some good universal energy out to, this is the time to do it. All righty, go for it. Yo, it's as simple as that. You don't have to be a prayer. You don't have to be a person of God. You just send some good vibes out into the universe. So what are we talking about today? Instagram, what are we talking about today? YouTube, what are we talking about today? Facebook, what are we talking about today? We're talking about why I don't believe in resolutions. And, it is a different topic. It's going to be less controversial. It sucks because CC knows this better than anybody. When we start fighting about boy-girl stuff, when we start bringing in the dating stuff, everyone wants to chime in. But you talk about some real growth shit, and people don't have an opinion. They tune out. Oh, he's not talking about ghosting people on social media. He's not talking about sending nudes on Snapchat. Not my thing, right? But I encourage you to talk about this, get involved with this conversation, because this is the real stuff, right? So I want to talk a bit about why I believe resolutions don't work. And I specifically, why is it kind of important? Why is it relevant? Well, it's relevant because it's the new year. I don't know. I say Happy New Year till February. I don't know, CC, if you do. I say Happy New Year to till Groundhog Day. Then I'm Happy Groundhog Day. Then I'm Happy Valentine's Day. Funny enough, because of COVID, I didn't even take down my tree yet. So Jackie, my roommate, who's bomb as hell, she took down a bunch of stuff from the house, which was great of her. Thank you, Jackie, for doing that, because she was sick too. She had COVID too. But we know this. Women bounce back better than men do. I don't care what you say. Dude's got a stomach ache. He's dying over there. And Jackie, I'm not going to get into her, into her history, but she's lived with some stuff. So, she was probably able to handle her illness a little bit better. And we all get sick differently, But the one thing she didn't do was take down the tree. So I got to take down the tree. This week. But yeah, so I don't know. I think New Year's resolutions are still relevant, right? Why is it important? Because, it's also relevant year round. We'll talk about that in a little bit. And also one thing that I think is super important to note is that COVID has kind of put us in this weird place where, maybe we had some resolutions and I don't know about you, chime in on Facebook or YouTube or even Instagram. I don't know if you've experienced this, but bro, the amount of people who have gotten COVID, even a mild version of it, and now they're out or were out for the first couple of weeks of the year, bro, that's some real stuff. So if you are a believer in resolutions, and maybe you are, it may not be coming to fruition right now. You may have to be taking a break. I totally understand that, right? So that's kind of why I thought it was relevant. What, you didn't get your year started off right, so now the whole year is screwed. You know what I mean? It's almost when I'm not a gamer. I don't play video games, but sometimes when I do play I do once in a while, I should say. When I do play video games, it's if you don't start off the stage right, if you lose a life right away, you can't win the game. You know what I'm saying? Fortunately, that's not how life is. We can have a bad month. We can have COVID for a couple of weeks. We can have a bad year, bro. It's still okay, So if you're just tuning in, you're listening to the Barbershop. Super happy to hear from you. The first couple of minutes that we talk about these topics, typically after I explain what the topic is, I'm always down to talk about what movies, what media, will kind of prove my point or disprove my point or whatever. And I had some hard times thinking about this one because, how many movies do you see with New Year's resolutions? You know what I mean? It's not a normal thing, right? So I brought in some other kind of movies and media, some ideas. The ideas that I brought in were, number one, Godfather 2. That takes place around the new year. Okay. Believe it or not. The same way Die Hard takes place around Christmas, right? That's number one. Number two is the movie The Founder, about Ray Kroc and how he took over McDonald's. We'll talk about that. It's not a New Year's movie, but it's about goals, right? And number three, I'm going to say any movie with a montage. Any movie with a montage. I'm going to specifically call out Cobra Kai, the series, because you know what? It's probably going to get us more clicks because Cobra Kai is the hottest thing on Netflix right now. And to be quite honest, I don't really go an hour or two without thinking about Cobra Kai. When I take a break at lunch, and I make myself some lunch, I work from home. I tend to just zone out. I tend to not, I don't want to really do anything but just kind of chill for 40 minutes. And I don't answer emails. Typically, I don't take phone calls unless they're important, Bro, I'm watching Cobra Kai theory movies, YouTube videos all the time. I mean, if it's not Star Wars or Marvel, it's Cobra Kai. all day long. So we'll talk about that. So the three kind of media films that we want to talk about, right? Number one, Godfather 2. They talk about, it's all about, the new year, and Fredo's pissing off Al Pacino, the actual Godfather, and what I found interesting about that movie was he kind of, Al Pacino's Godfather is very different than Marlon Brando's Godfather, right? Michael Corleone is very different from Vito Corleone. He tends to, in one foul swoop, he will 100% like dominate his like enemies and like get rid of everything at one time. That's not typically how things work, but in the mob movie, when like people are trying to kill you, I can see how that kind of works, right? So in The Godfather 2, you kind of see the transition in this whole thing where the new year's coming about, and he's making some major decisions about his life and changing his business. So I kind of see that. The second movie that I thought we could bring in, and this will be a shorter episode because I know Cece's not feeling well. This is past my bedtime, bro. I'm usually like in bed, trying to get my 16 hours of sleep while I'm recovering for COVID. But the second film that I want to bring in is called The Founder. The Founder is about Ray Kroc and how he took over McDonald's from the McDonald's brothers. And what I wanted to bring that in, not because it's a New Year's movie, but because this dude had some serious goals. I mean, within his first couple of years of owning McDonald's, Ray Kroc, and that movie's as true as can be, unless you know what went on behind closed doors. You know what I mean? So it was pretty spot on with the numbers and that kind of stuff. Ray Kroc took a very small burger franchise and turned it into a multi-conglomerate within just a few years. And what I loved about that movie was he was never satisfied. Dude was 56 years old when he started working on McDonald's. Like he was not like, so y'all are worried about, my New Year's resolution, I had a couple of weeks where I wasn't feeling great. Now my whole year's off. Bro, dude was 56 years old, killing the game. Like, it's fine. I mean, he probably did some unsavory stuff, but we don't have to worry about that right now. So I thought that was a really good one, and what I loved about it too, by the way, if you are listening, I feel like I got a little, because I'm like exhausted, I'm like a little bit more hood than normal. You could be a little hood and still be a doctor. I just want to throw that out there. Like, it doesn't take away from the PhD. But anyway, what I loved about that film was, and Ray Kroc in general, I mean, he was never satisfied. Did he buy the Oakland A's? I think it was. I mean, he wanted to do something and he just did it, and he killed it, and it was great. Now, you talk about capitalism and all the other thing. He probably hurt a lot of people, but I don't see that. I don't know that, so I can't comment on that. You talk about a guy like Elon Musk, who owns Tesla, or a CEO of Tesla. One of his famous quotes is, "Take your 10-year goals, figure out how to do it in 6 months, and that's your goal." You know what I mean? And continue to do it. And that's kind of like a Ray Kroc kind of attitude. So on that note, we've extended definitely our 10 minutes here on Instagram. We'll do our last movie / media thing on TikTok. But if you're on Instagram, come check us out. On TikTok, you can also check us out right on my Shorby. You can go on Facebook or on YouTube and just Google search the barbershop /resolutions, and you'll find us. All right, we'll be back on TikTok and live in a second. And can I save this? I don't think you can save it anymore. Share. Can I share it? Yeah, I want to share. Oh God, they don't make you look great when you can take the PhD out of the hood, but you can't take the hood out of the PhD. Amen to that. Exactly. Exactly. Cool. So hold on. Let's see. We're going to add this to our Instagram. That'll load up in a second. Hold on one sec. Thank you, Mana, for being so diligent and helping the engagement on the show. I'm going to hop on to TikTok for a second. We'll go on there for like 10 minutes or so. But I think it helps our engagement. Don't you, Cece? I think when we go on live on these things, I know on TikTok for sure, people love to watch us on TikTok. Well, let's see. Why resolutions don't work. We'll type that in. Go live. What sucks about TikTok live is like I can't put the filters on, so like I don't look as hot. You know what I'm saying? So we'll go live here. All right, 3, 2, 1. We're going live, and boom, we're live on TikTok. We're still hanging out with you on Facebook and on YouTube as well. See, it's like my brain's cloudy from this COVID. I swear to God, like, thank God I have this documented. And it's so funny. I was talking to Mana earlier today. For those who don't know, Mana and I are, Mana's a big part of my life. And, saying, she, of course, tries to encourage and say, oh, you're not stupid. You're not dumb. I'm an idiot. Like, lately, I can't think at all. It's this brain fog. It's killing me. It's absolutely atrocious. And it does. It pisses me off because, that's my superpower. I mean, my superpower are two things, right? My superpowers are enthusiasm and energy, right? And my brain power. I mean, the reason that I'm as good in my life as I am is because I can do 1,000 things at once. I truly can. I mean, that's ADHD for you, but I can actually juggle the things. And so it ticks me off that this COVID thing has really taken my brain power and my enthusiasm away. So it kind of, those are my superpowers. That's like that's kryptonite, So anyway, so if you're just joining us from TikTok, and I know you've been with us from Facebook and YouTube, we're talking about some of the movies that have to do with New Year's resolutions, or just New Year's in general, or resolutions in general, or goals in general. And we started with The Godfather 2, which is great. And then we moved on to The Founder, which is awesome. He's got a lot of great goals in The Founder. The Godfather 2 takes place actually around New Year's. And the last one that we're going to bring into is just any movie with like a montage. I don't care if it's Rocky, Karate Kid, any 80s movie, Top Gun, you know what I mean? What's that? What's the movie? Is it Team America? When they're like, we need a montage. We're out for a montage. But, the reason that I bring up these movies with these montages, and they're typically like 80s and 90s movies. Do they still do montages in movies? I don't know. Now I have to like look into some other stuff. But, the reason that they do these montages is because, and this is why I want to talk to you about goals and resolutions for 2022, is that the reason that they do these montages is typically in these movies, you've got an astronomical amount of stuff. Like, you've got a lot of stuff you've got to fill into a movie where it's like somebody like is trying to win the heavyweight title, or somebody's trying to be the best karate fighter, or they're trying to be the best jet plane fighter, or they're trying to be the this or that or whatever. And so it's like you've got to fit a lot into this 2-hour movie. And so what winds up happening is these movies add these montages because they can fit all that into 2 minutes, right? The working out and the running and the, hey, what's up, Stacey? How are you? The running and the training your brain and the making connections and the waking up early and all these things. These are montaged over 2 minutes, but these take years. They take months. They take a long time. And you're going to fail throughout those times, right? And so the reason that I bring up these movies with montages when we're talking about goals and resolutions for 2022 is that, you're seeing a movie like Cobra Kai, for example. You see a 10-episode show, and all of a sudden, what pisses me off is like they bring in a kid, and all of a sudden this kid's like the best karate fighter in town other than a couple other kids. Bro, like, that's not how life works. Like, I have some black belts. It takes some time to hone those skills. And I'll be honest, you put me in the ring right now, I haven't fought in a couple of years. You put me in the ring right now, I'd probably get pretty badly hurt. And so the reason that I bring up these movies with these montages and just these shows and stuff like that is that, it's not really, it doesn't work like that. So the resolutions that you have, these goals that you have, they're not going to just come to fruition in a 5-hour episode or a 5-hour, season or whatever. And one of the shows that I want to do on some of our podcasts, I want to talk about these new movies. Like, for example, Star Wars, the new episodes of Star Wars, the new shows in Star Wars, Rey, which is like the new Luke Skywalker, right? She really didn't have to train at all. All of a sudden, she just kind of had it. Whereas like Luke Skywalker, even Anakin Skywalker, who was Darth Vader, they had to train really hard to be like the master of the universe, and Rey just kind of had it, And so the point I'm making with all these movies and shows and stuff like that is, your resolution, your idea, your goal that you want to bring in to wherever you're bringing it in, it doesn't necessarily have to happen right away. And that's why I'm not a huge fan of resolutions, because we put so much pressure on January 1st and 2nd. Like, that's when things have to happen. Bro, like, there's so many things that can happen throughout your year, your life, your whatever. Like, why are we so worried about that one day? So that said, that's kind of the movie part of what we've been talking about. So Cece, I think at this point, right, we're going to take a break at 7:20. Is that correct? Oh, hold on. We'll take this question first. Mana, the biggest reason I dislike New Year's resolutions, it doesn't allow room for failure, grace, and learning. They're often do or die. I love that. We're going to talk about that during the break. Faux show, as the kids say. That is smart AF, as the kids say. We'll talk about that. Cece says we're not going to take a break. Oh, awesome. That's cool for me. So what we're going to do is we're going to jump right in then to some of what I feel and the reasons that I feel resolutions don't work. I'm going to hop into what the experts have to say and that kind of stuff. And you know what? Look, I'm not going to be so hard on resolutions. But what I want, Stacy sent a wizard hat. I don't even know what that is. Like, people just send in stuff all over the place. I love it. So why don't resolutions work? Okay. I want to break this down into 3 different, kind of bullet points, right? And before I do that, TikTok, it's been your 10 minutes, so y'all got to go. Appreciate you. But you can log on to my Shorebee. You can check us out on Facebook. You can check us out on YouTube. Just search WGSN or Going Solo Network or Going Bold and put in the title, Why Resolutions Don't Work. But you can also find us on the Shorebee and just click this live video, and you'll be able to check us out. So I want to thank you, TikTok, for hanging out with us. You'll get into the beef of our video if you log on to the rest of the show. And we'll see you soon. All right, we'll end that one. Ooh, I want to tell you how bad that. It's like people, you don't go online for a little bit. People forget about you, Susie. Now I got to build up my whole thing again, So here are the 3 reasons that I think resolutions are not my favorite thing to think about. And the reason that when I coach people out of resolutions and out of that kind of stuff. Number 1 is going to be sustainability. Okay, resolutions in general are just not sustainable, right? Number 2 is the torture principle, the idea that you need to torture yourself or kill yourself or be unhappy while achieving your goals. And then number 3 is, just as Manna said, not allowing yourself grace, right? Not allowing yourself the opportunity to fail. And I want to break down each one. I want to give some examples, okay? So number 1, sustainability. Having a resolution over the course of a year is not a sustainable way to achieve your goals. The reason is, and this is backed by science, like 8% of people actually stick to their resolutions 3/4 of the way through the year. Hold on. People mark the new year as a new start, but your new start can be on any day, any second. It starts with a mindset change. Shariva, I love that. Oh, no. I'm still not pronouncing Shariva. I love that. So that's exactly what we talk about when we talk about sustainability, right? I want to read that again because I freaking love that, okay? People mark the new year as a new start, but your new start can be any day, any second. It starts with a mindset change. So the bottom line is, from Shariva and anybody, the bottom line is, if I want a sustainable growth mindset, if I want to continue to grow in whatever area I want to grow in, right? Starting fresh one day, it's really not a valuable thing for my mindset. I think about 2 different people who both had some goals, and I remember thinking both of them were crazy, and both of them, might have been onto something, but one of them was definitely crazy. So I was watching Hoarders. Anybody watch Hoarders? It's like one of my favorite shows to watch to remind myself that my life is okay. And I always wonder, like, why don't the American Pickers and the Storage Wars people go visit the Hoarders, buy their stuff, and then sell them to like the pawn shop? You know what I mean? Like, why don't we just get all that thing going? But anyway, I'm watching Hoarders, and this woman, it's an older episode, and this woman had like expired food. And it was like a thing with her. Obviously there was some like self-deprecation. There was definitely some like self, some kind of a torture principle in there. She was like torturing herself with this bad behavior. She was eating expired food, and there was like fecal matter in it and all the stuff, right? Bad stuff. And so they're like, all right, look, tomorrow, I forget her name. Tomorrow we're going to clear out your house. So all this food's not going to be there. Like all the stuff's not going to be there. And she says, okay, tonight I'm going to eat a bunch of that food. And they're like, why? We'll get you more food. And she said it was like kind of like her high to like do it before she couldn't do it anymore. And that is a very unsustainable type of mindset. Like you start fresh on a new day. And so today I've got to get, and I use that example as, yes, makes my house very clean, Stacy says. Thank you. Mine too. And I use that example as an example because you sound like you're out of your mind when you're going to eat expired food, right? Now I'll talk about another dude I worked with at Yahoo, smart guy. He was a vegetarian. Back then, I don't remember if we talked about vegetarian versus vegan as much, but he was definitely a vegetarian, probably vegan. He ate a lot of tofu, this guy. And I said to him, did you the night before you started? He's like, yeah, I started on a Monday. He'd done it for years. I said, did you take that Sunday and just eat all the meat you wanted? A burger, bacon, steak for dinner? He's like, no, I mean, if that's what I wanted to do, then I just wouldn't have been vegan. You know what I mean? So why am I starting out with that mindset that I'm depriving myself of something? Like if I want to grow and I want to do something, I'm just going to do it, And he just started on a random Monday. And so I think both of those folks were a little crazy, but both of them make some sense, right? Hoarder person is definitely crazy. Faux show. But it's definitely not a sustainable kind of lifestyle when you say, okay, on this day is when I'm going to do the thing I'm going to do. You know what I mean? And you can do that, but waiting for the first of the year is silly. And I've done that before. I've said, look, on this day I'm keto, and being keto for me actually is helpful. It actually helps my body. It makes me feel good. So I have said in the past, I'm gonna get a little bit more serious about my keto tomorrow. But it doesn't what do I do? Throw out the food in my fridge? No, I'm gonna eat that stuff, Sure, Eva, I'm going on a diet next week. I might binge eat this week. Right, exactly. And dieting is the number one resolution that we all have. And it's terrible. I mean, you know me, I hate the word diet, but dieting is a thing that everyone does. You know what I mean? So that's number one. The sustainability of it all just doesn't make sense. You can't just be tomorrow I'm going to shut it off, right? Because it's part of your lifestyle, and obviously it's something you enjoy doing. So you're going to quit cold turkey? I mean, unless it's killing you, allow yourself some slack, right? Number two is the torture principle. Is you've decided that you've done something wrong, the wrong way, and now you're going to change it and you're going to do things the right way. I see this. I'm doing a whole video on this for my own team, for my own coaching clients. I see this. I'll give you the best example I can give you. I see this at the gym, and it makes me sad. I see beautiful people. I don't care, man, woman, dog, alien, whoever you are, the wonderful, wonderful, beautiful people on the treadmill, and I see them for hours. Okay, they're on the treadmill for 2-3 hours, and I know because I'm at the gym for about 2 hours sometimes. I see them when I get there. I see them when I leave, and they're miserable. And I mean, you see them crying, you see them in pain, and you see them stretching or whatever, and you see them doing this thing for a couple of days a week, 4 days a week, something like that. And you see them the next week. And if you're lucky, you might see them the next week, but odds are you're not gonna, because what winds up happening is these people have set in their brain that their resolution, their goal in January, and this is something that people do all over the year. It's not just in January, but they've decided that what they need to do is to make up for lost time and to make up for the fact that they, didn't do such a great job with their body, their mind, their soul, whatever. And so they kill themselves in the gym, and the torture that they put themselves through, sure, it reminds them what they did to their body prior was not a good thing, but it's also not a good thing what they're doing. And so it goes back to the sustainability. It's just not there, and so these people don't last more than a couple of weeks at the gym because they're killing themselves. You look at someone like me, bro. I've lost a little bit of tone because of COVID and having gone to the gym. I mean, I'm finally getting to the point where I did maybe a half-hour workout yesterday, and I was not winded, which is not good for me, but good for now. But I've resigned myself to the fact that I'm gonna have a dad bod. I'm cool with it. I like tacos. I like sushi. I like chocolate. I like it. I like ice cream. It's not going away. I work out to keep my body healthy, to keep my mind healthy, to get myself away from things, to put my phone down. But I do work out to stay a little bit in shape so that my clothes fit and that kind of stuff. But, I'm not going to go to the gym for 3 hours a day, 7 days a week, thinking it's going to change my lifestyle. The same way I don't binge eat 7 days a week for 3 weeks. That would kill me. You know what I mean? So, there's a happy medium in there. You don't need to torture yourself for having a night of binging the same way you don't need to, you know, go to, to the gym for 10 hours a day thinking that's gonna help you. Torturing yourself doesn't do anything for you, and that's kind of what these resolutions tend to be. So we've gone through sustainability, we've gone through the torture principle. Lastly, I want to talk about allowing yourself some grace, and that's same kind. I mean, it's all in the same kind of realm, right? Resolutions don't work because they're so rigid. And you say within the year I'm going to do X, Y, and Z. Okay, a year's not that long. The older you get, relatively, a year becomes shorter and shorter if you think about it, right? So when you're 5, a year is 1/5 of your life. That is a huge part of your life. When you're 35, not so much, right? You can go through a year pretty quick and go, where did that year go, right? So allow yourself some grace. Hold on, let me finish that thought and then I'll read this, Nana. Allow yourself some grace to fail and to do the things you want to do. I said this. Did I say this on TikTok or did I say this in another video I was creating for work? But I have learned more in my failures. Oh, Lord, have I learned more in my failures than I've ever learned in my successes. Right before I was kind of canceled on the internet, I had the most successful event, the most successful year I'd had with Bold in a long time. I didn't learn anything other than arrogance. I mean, I learned how to do things properly, but when I failed, when I fell, I learned a lot. Would I go through it again? No. Did I think it was deserved? No. But I still learned a lot. Let's set up Nana's comment. They make their goal a chore instead of an opportunity for growth, and it becomes something they resent instead of something to look forward to and achieve. 100%. If one of the examples I think about is my writing. I don't wake up every morning and say, I'm going to write all the time. I'm going to write 10 chapters today. I say, if I get through a couple of pages, it's a good day. And if I don't write the next day, I don't kill myself by writing double this the day before. I'm going to wind up not liking it. It's the same way. My faith is super important to me as well, right? So, on Sundays, I don't read the Bible because I'm watching church, right? I don't read Jesus Daily because I'm watching church. I used to, when I would skip a day of Jesus Daily, if you don't read the Jesus Daily is like excerpts about Jesus once a day. They're very short. If I would lose track for like a week, I would go back on a Tuesday and I would read the full week of Jesus Daily that I missed. All right, that's kind of cool, but what it made me do is resent the fact that I have to go back and read the whole thing. It sucked. It was not a cool way to like get through my goals. Now, if I miss a week, guess what I do? I move the bookmark, read my day, and continue on with my day, because there's no point in reading an hour's worth of Jesus Daily. That book was designed to read a short snippet. The same way your lifestyle was designed to not deprive yourself of a certain food for the rest of your life. The same way your lifestyle was designed to not go to the gym for 6 hours a day. The same way your lifestyle was designed not to crash course study for an exam because you're torturing yourself, right? These are things that don't work for us, right? Now, I want to talk about, are they somewhat helpful? Like, are these goals, these resolutions somewhat helpful? They can be, okay? They can be because they're good reach goals, right? They're good ways for you to understand what your goals are. But like, you don't need to set them for the year. You can set them in your lifetime. And if you set them for the year, that's fine, right? As long as you manage expectations that it may not happen within that year. You know what I mean? Like, it just may not happen. Like, you can get close and that's cool. You can get halfway there and that's cool. It doesn't necessarily need to be this full on, blitz of goals, right? Stacy Smith says, same, watch my church on Sunday and YouVersion to devotionals the rest of the time. Right, exactly. So I think setting goals is super important, as long as we set our expectations as well. So let's talk about a little bit about my experiences with resolutions. I stopped using resolutions about 7 or 8 years ago because I tended to just create goals for myself throughout the year. And that's really, to me, what was so important. What I tend to do is I set like quarterly goals up, monthly goals. But I also set my year goals like 3 years out. Like, I know by 2025 how many properties I want to own in Las Vegas. I know by 2024 what I want to do with blah, 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 blah. I knew by 2022 that I wanted to finish working on the magazine and get the magazine out of my hands, and that's coming to fruition. Waking up one day and saying you have a goal is like crazy. The other reason, think about it. The other reason that's way more valuable than waking up and saying I have a goal now is you haven't properly prepared. So waking up tomorrow and saying I've got this goal in a year to do the thing that I want to do, when you haven't properly prepared yourself, I mean, it's daunting. It's psychologically not cool. And so you're not going to be excited about it. Whereas if you said within 2 years, I want to do X, Y, and Z, it's a lot easier. You could start prepping for those types of things. You can start thinking about those types of things. So I want to quickly go through kind of what the experts say. I pulled up 3 articles here, one from BBC.com, one from Business Insider. These are kind of businessy. And then the one from Forbes. I'm going to start with Forbes because Forbes kind of goes against what I've been saying this whole time, which is like, hey, 4 reasons to make New Year's resolutions, even if you don't keep them. And they're really talking about your career, right? Number 1, they say, is intention, which I agree with. Being honest with yourself about your current condition, that you need to make some changes. Okay, I'm down for that. Number 2, hope and engagement. New Year's resolutions, they're inherently hopeful and optimistic. Okay, also down for that. Not a terrible, we're not doing too bad, right? Number 3, they say responsibility. I'm going to call that accountability. I think this is probably an older article, right? And then number 4 is inspiration. None of this is wrong at all. None of this says to me, I'm a bad person if I set New Year's resolutions. I think my problem is with the time, with the timing and the extremism, right? So then we jump into, no, thanks, don't sign me up to that. Then we jump into Business Insider, and it says 5 reasons why most resolutions don't stick, according to a psychotherapist. So you know I'm going to love that, right? I'm going to love that. So number 1, not ready to change. We're talking about the person who's drinking the expired milk before their house gets cleaned out. And I'll read that Shariva in a second. Number 2, no self-monitoring. You're not able to monitor your goal and your resolution. I get that, right? Number 3, what did we just say? Lack of planning. You haven't planned. You woke up one day and said, I have a resolution, right? Number 4, overconfidence. I'm gonna challenge that one because I feel like while a lot of us do fall under the overconfident, arrogant kind of thing, you're not going to achieve anything great unless you're a little stupid about it. You know what I mean? So I'm gonna cross that one off. Be overconfident in your goals, right? But just monitor the progress and monitor your achievements and be self-aware that it's not going to always happen. I every day I set a goal to do X, Y, and Z. I set a goal to do like 5 things a day. And the funny thing is I coach my clients to do 3 things a day, and I set a goal to do like 15. And I'm disappointed every night. But I know I'm going to be disappointed every night. The whole reason, especially lately, because I've been exhausted, but the whole reason that I set such lofty goals for myself is so that I can be disappointed every night. Honestly, number 1, so that I get, if I say I'm going to do 5 things in the day and I really want to do 15, I'll do 5, right? Maybe I'll do 4. If I say I want to do 15, I might get a shot in doing 7, right? And then I'm going to be disappointed. It's going to push me a little bit more. But I'm different than a lot of folks. I coach my clients to be a little bit different because you're not going to have the energy I have. I mean, COVID aside, right? So I'm gonna say to number 4, the overconfidence. Let's cross that one off. And then number 5, not looking at what has to be given up. So this is something that's really interesting. And then I'll jump into Shariva's question, and then I'll jump into my last article. But you want to, in business, in relationships, in life, setting a goal is wonderful. Understanding the compromises you're going to need to make to achieve that goal is it's a very important concept, because you may be giving up more than you're willing to actually give up. And so is that what you want to do? One of the things that one of my dating coaches talks about, I was kind of talking to this celebrity person crush thing, and I was failing miserably at keeping her engaged. And we went out and we talked for a while, and it just kept fizzling. And he sent me this video about kind of taking back that relationship. And the one thing that he said in that video was, sure, you can get that person, but for the rest of your life, and it wasn't geared towards me, it was just like a random video that he would send to a client. For the rest of your life, you're going to be dragged by the earlobe to the lake. And if you're a man, you know exactly what that looks like. It's, the whipped kind of thing. And I'm not saying that that's a concept that we need to focus on, but this is kind of a true statement. Is I could have probably compromised a lot and gotten that person, and I'd be compromising for the rest of my life. She'd be dragging me by the ear wherever we went. And I don't mean that in this like adversarial men, women kind of thing. I mean that in when you compromise so many things, people know that they're able to get you to compromise those things. It's the same way Hugh Jackman, for example, we talk about dieting and all that garbage. Hugh Jackman, if you don't know this, you'll know it now. The reason that he gave up the role of Wolverine, I kid you not, is so he could eat. This dude, for like 8, 9, how many years, was Wolverine over and over and over. Even though he had other roles, he was always Wolverine in the X-Men. And the dude was ripped, absolutely ripped. And he said he was like eating chicken and like rice and spinach. And he hated it. If you look at it, his wife's got some curves on her. He's, probably normally sits a little bit curvier himself, and he hated it. So he's like, yeah, I gave up. He's like, I didn't want that role anymore because I couldn't sustain it. Right. And so you got to think about what you're giving up. Right. So I want to jump into Shariva's quote and then we'll jump into Stacy's. They try to break lifelong bad habits in one day and call it a goal. What people really try to do is put a fresh coat of paint on a dirty, broken home. Getting to the foundation of your issue and changing from that point is where real change happens. I couldn't agree more. I'm so glad I called everyone out today on social media and on these posts and said, hope you engage as much today as you engage when we're talking about controversial dating topics. I appreciate you coming to that challenge, coming to the table with very insightful, very intelligent things today. It's almost like you can do my job for me, and I appreciate that. It really is a beautifully well put thing to say. When we look for big change fast, when we look for the trophy, all we're gonna get is that trophy. When you look, and I want to be clear about this. I live my life for the trophy. I swear to God, I live my life for the trophy. It's only been for the past couple of years that I started to realize that true growth happens when the trophy doesn't happen. And I looked back at my life and I realized there were very many times that I didn't get the trophy, but I gained so much more respect in those moments. For the first couple of years of my career, I won every contest. Same thing at university. I won everything. And I was a shell of a person. I didn't have the growth mindset that I do today. And then one thing I started realizing was I started losing out. I wasn't even in the running for a lot of these trophies and competitions and things like that. But my students were, my mentees were, my colleagues were, who I helped grow. And I realized I didn't really care about the trophy. I could win that trophy. I can compromise whatever I want to do. I could win that trophy in a heartbeat. I could win that trophy. That's not a millennial thing. That's a me thing. I could do it. It's not worth it. What's worth it is, while everyone's trying to get that Professor of the Year trophy, I'm building out a brand new course that's going to help my students pass their Microsoft certifications. And I don't care about the trophy because I did that for them. If somebody votes me for it, cool, whatever. It's not the sexiest thing in the world, but we got it done. You know what I mean? And that's what I think is super important, because I really did. I lived for that trophy all day long. And now I really don't care if I win another award. In fact, I've been passed up for so many over the past couple of years, but the people in my circle have been winning them. I'm cool with that. And now Stacy says, I think eventually it would cause some resentment, probably talking about giving up so much of yourself that you're being kind of led by the ear. Yeah, I mean, in anything, in literally any decision that you make, you might resent the backlash and what's going to happen because you're giving up too much of yourself. It's the same thing. My job has always, even as a professor, I've always worked with admissions to drive admissions up at my university, I've always said, you don't hire me because I'm like this well-researched dude. You hire me because I'm cool and because I can bring in students and I can teach well and I'm fun to be around. And, I was young at one point, right? So, I've always loved to sell. And so whether it be admissions or whether it be, selling a certain product, I could always make the sale if I wanted to, but you've got to ask yourself, what are you giving up to do that? Are you giving up your integrity? Are you straight out lying to somebody? I had a guy who would sell to students, and I swear to God, this guy worked for a university. I couldn't fire him. I wanted to. I would watch him straight up lie to students. And I'm like, you do know this student's going to come here next year and you're screwed. Like, they're going to leave and then they're going to cite you, and there's never the thing for me. And so hitting your goals is great, but hitting your goals without integrity is ridiculous. Don't give up so much of yourself. So last but not least, BBC.com talks about why resolutions are powerful and why they're pointless. It kind of says, are resolutions powerful or pointless? And it kind of goes back and forth, a little volley of, well, the fresh start effect, is that powerful? Exactly when our tradition of making that New Year's resolutions was established was, in like about 150 years ago, and it still holds true today. Then it jumps into, some other things, from failure to success, like starting fresh, starting a new successful kind of regime, right? And does that work? And here's what I'll say, and we can go through our lessons now. And I did promise CC I'd make this kind of a shorter one, even though I didn't, because I should be going to bed for my own health sakes. Here's the thing: having a goal, making changes in your life, it's wonderful. Look, if you're a part of my circle, if you expect to get my respect and you tell me that, your life's perfect and it doesn't need to change at all, well, I admire how content you are. I do. And maybe you've done some wonderful things in your life that are great, but nobody has a life that doesn't need some growth. I worked at one school. I can't say the name. I'd probably get sued if I did. But the professors there were actually proud. They would laugh. They would say, "Oh, I haven't changed my syllabus in 10 years. It's like on autopilot, this class." Are you out of your mind? I don't care if it's first century history. Things change. Theories change, bro. Like, change it up. And they were business classes. They were computer science classes. Like, are you kidding? 10 years? You don't know how business has changed in 10 years? So if you're of the mindset that nothing needs to change, then you're of the wrong mindset. But I implore you to not go with this like frustrated, resentful, tomorrow's the freshest day ever attitude where we're just going to stop and start, right? Stop this behavior, start that behavior. It's not how life works, not how your mind works, not how your body works, not how behavior works. I instead implore you to think about what kind of growth strategy you can implement to just make your life better overall and make the people around you respect you more and respect yourself more and make the people around you better. With that, I think that's what we learned today is Christopher hates resolutions, and that's fine. We kind of knew that in the beginning, but the ways in which you can make yourself better require some more preparation. They require some grace. They require some time for which in which you can do those things. Stacy says real quick, what we learn about students and how they learn has changed. No way the syllabus should be the same for that. Yeah, but we'll do a whole show on the American university and how that is a joke and how our higher education system is a joke, because they would applaud you for not changing your syllabus, because then they have to do less paper. I won't get into it. I promised it would be a short show. With that, I want to thank everybody in their engagement. I want to thank you for powering through. This wasn't the most exciting show because CC's not feeling great. I'm not feeling great. But welcome back to 2022. We're going to be giving you some great new stuff going forward. I'm super excited to bring you some new goodies. You can be happy and enjoy life while also learning how to be a better person and improve your life. Absolutely. On that note, I want to thank you for your energy. I want to thank you for your vibes. I want to thank you for your engagement. I want to thank you for sitting with me for an hour. You've been watching The Barbershop on WGSN-DB, Going Solo Network Radio. This is Going Bold Wednesdays. I'm your host of Going Bold Wednesdays and of The Barbershop. My name is Dr. Christopher Sloot. I want to thank you for your energy. I want to thank you for your time. And thank you for learning some lessons with me. This is The Barbershop. Cut.